I'll yell into it.
Yeah, no.
I'll hate me.
We'll let Jesse finish his meal and then we'll kick this thing off. So, mental
Yeah.
aspects of change is what we're doing this evening. Jesse spent the past couple years working on a degree in psychology, yes? So, I'm hoping that he can kind of focus our attention because that's kind of what this podcast is about. Um, and I think it will be good because the mental aspects of change apply not just to the gym, but every aspect of life, whether it's work, whether it's dealing with outside influences, addiction, whatever that case may be. Anytime you're making a change in your life, there's going to be some mental struggles that you have to go through, right? So I
Yeah.
think we can benefit some people with a bit of knowledge.
But
Welcome to the Work Hard People's Podcast. Hope everybody out there's having a great day. Thanks so much for everybody watching, subscribing. Today is a Coach's Corner edition, and we're going to discuss the mental aspects of change. And with us today, we have the beautiful Miss Emma. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. And we have, I got to say it, Matt Deakins, powerlifter extraordinaire. Oh, I forgot the freaking part. Matt freaking Deakins. How are you,
Right.
buddy?
I'm great. Thanks.
You're doing good? That's
Yeah.
awesome. And then we have my second man crush. I got two now. Jesse's one of them. But no, we got Jesse here, and Jesse spent the past couple years working on his degree in psychology. And as we're discussing the mental aspects of change, uh, I'm gonna kind of just let him kind of guide us and quarterback this thing because I think he has a little bit more knowledge than the rest of us. We're on here mainly because every single one of us, I know Matt has had to deal with change in his life and many different factors going back several years, not only just his journey in physical fitness, going from bodybuilding into powerlifting, but just different aspects and I only say this because we've discussed it before, but health issues with your wife and just how to cope with all that stuff. I know Emma has gone through great changes in her life from just physical transformation to work transformation. I've had similar situations, and I know Jesse has dealt with great change in his life over the years. So, um, with that in mind, before we start, yeah, the old man is blind. I just want to read a little something in my own research that been doing on mental and psychological change. And there's two areas that I really want to focus on. And the first is stress. When we're changing things in our lives, um, it can be precipitated by a lot of things. It could be a choice that we make. It could be an event that happens to us like loss or grief, or a desire to do better. All these things could create things. But um, the two areas that I really think I want to focus on is number one, change in our life creates stress and anxiety. Change can be stressful, particularly if it's unexpected or unwanted, right? So that's one side of things. And then the other side is if it's expected and wanted, right? Like adaptation and resilience. So change can also promote adaptation and resilience, particularly if it's viewed as an opportunity for growth or personal development because I hope, we're always trying to be better. We're always trying to develop into a better individual, a better, like, I can only speak for myself, but for me, each day I'm trying, even if it's just 1%, I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better father, a better grandfather. I want to be a better student in the gym. I want to do better at my job. All these different things, right? I'm trying to get better. So, with that in mind, I'm going to kick it over to Jesse real fast. Just, hey, tell us a little bit about what you studied the past couple years and how changing really affects the mind.
well, James, the majority of what I study is all theories that can be applied in counseling, as it has to do with cognitive behavioral therapy. And my target group that I primarily work with is 13 to 29. Okay, that's the get 'em group. There's an age that we have as men because I primarily study the mindsets of men, and really get into the root and the why behind the what of a lot of things. But 13 to 29 is where you still have a lot of area of growth in your life where you can still be developing ideas of what you want for your future. You can condition yourself to understanding traumatic events as well as good events a little bit better than you kind of set in stone past the age of 30, especially 35. And so, normally by the age of 35, we've decided as society, and I'm not speaking on behalf of a whole, these are just general statements, but we've decided that this is what I'm rooted in. This is everything that I believe. All of these events are true. This is how I will respond from now on. This is how I'm going to run from things. This is how I'm going to accept things. And so there's really not a lot of formula there or room for change. And I could tell you that I didn't do a lot of my changing until 36. Of course, that took a near life ending experience. So, and that's different, okay? Because you can have people that just live normal, casual lives and they just go with the ebb and flow of the day. And they assume that up to a point, this is how my life is going to be. So you're conditioned to basically a position of this is how life is. And you're basically writing the book from page one to page one to page one to page one. Okay.
Yeah.
And work for some people. It really can. It can really work for some people that enjoy contentment, that don't get complacent. But then there's others where, in a lot of areas where Freud had studied, and Carl Jung, where when our personality development begins between ages 1 and 5, okay, that can become very prominent in our adult lives. And so this is where that thumbprint, our personality thumbprint, can really come into play. Where if we had the blame game situation as kids, boom, now it can be that personality trait can come out. If we had the denial phase, if we had certain ways of coping during grief, all of those characteristics can really set themselves in once the brain is no longer, growing, when the body is no longer growing, and we accept that this is life. And so a lot of what I study is, especially with clients that deal with a lot of trauma, is okay. I want to know kind of the background of what you were as a child, and then your relationship with your parents or lack of relationship with your parents, and that can kind of give me idea of how it is that you bridge, okay, that gap into everything was fine here, and then all of a sudden, well, this wasn't fine. I just told myself it was fine. I accepted this at this specific age, and I no longer accept it. And so this is where you're talking about that mental aspect of change, where it's a crossroad. Do I continue to go in this way and just continue to do what I've always done, even if it's not detrimental, but I'm unhappy? Or do I take the risk of change, which is just as scary? Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's a lot of what I work with different people. Especially in terms of addiction,
Yeah.
there'll be the generational addiction. I believe in pseudo addiction as well. I believe in the mental and physical craving beyond our normal control. Dual attachment, where you can be just as attached to the things that you don't want to lose, family, friends, job, things like that, as well as you are equally attached to the addiction, to the prevention of the craving, to disillusionment, to psychosis, and these things that you call the normalcy. If I do these things, I can maintain here, but I'm taking the risk of losing everything over here. And so that's where I work, is trying to have somebody understand, hey, let's close this in. Let's eliminate one of these roads and just continue on straight.
Yeah, no, and that's good. And there's a thing I do, and I'm gonna kick this to Emma for a sec because I know she does something similar. But every single day, like the first thing I do in the morning, we have in our bathroom on the door, there's a full length mirror, and every morning I look myself in that mirror and I assess my day before and evaluate it. And I try to be as honest as I possibly can with myself about where I was lacking and where I was good and try to fix those things. Emma, I know that you are very big on self-assessment on a daily basis, trying to get better in everything you do. How does change how did it affect your mind, and how do you begin to overcome it? Because that's how I overcome it, is by calling myself out in the mirror. Like,
Mhm.
you messed up here with your wife, or you messed up here with yourself. You need to do better in this area. And then I work on those things throughout the day. How about you, girl? What?
For me, I don't know. It's always been a trait of mine, like where I don't really like failure. And not necessarily that I'm scared of failure itself, because I know you have to fail to succeed, but I also know that I want to be able to give myself everything I possibly can, set myself up for the most success possible. And then if I fail, then I'm like, okay, I gave it my absolute all, and that's the best I could do. Now I'm going to try again. And so when I'm assessing myself and my goals and trying to discern where I can do better, I just kind of think I don't really, this is going to sound like pretty egotistical. I don't really care what other people think, regardless of what people might think, that I really do care what people think, but I don't. At the end of the day, I only care about how I feel about myself. And if I feel like I gave it my all in whatever I'm doing, whether it's work, whether it's the gym, whether it's family, friends, relationships, whatever it is, if I feel like I'm lacking on my part, then I kind of feel like a shitty person. And that's just a standard that I have for myself. And I kind of, I actually just recently just got back on that standard, because for a while I was slacking on everything. I was slacking on work. I was slacking on family. I was slacking on work hard peoples. And I've just recently started getting back onto it. And it feels really good, because I like being that person that someone can rely on. I don't like being someone that's flaky, that makes a plan and then jumps out of it at the last minute. I hate those kind of people, and I hate being that type of person. And I was kind of like that for quite some time. Granted, it was a lot of personal things going on attributing to that. But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that I'm setting myself up for the most success that I possibly can in every aspect of life. And I always push other people to do the same, regardless of what their goals are, whether it's they want to be financially free, whether they want to look as best as they can in the gym, whether they want to start pursuing bodybuilding, which I don't know anything about, a whole bunch about bodybuilding. I've never done a show before, but I still know a thing or two when it comes to transitioning your life, especially from postpartum, for being pregnant, losing that weight, trying to get back on track and getting your lifestyle back. And then recently trying to essentially help others kind of find their own identity, because that's a road that I'm going down personally myself as well. So it just kind of just like we're talking about, everything goes hand in hand, whether it's work, gym, personal, it doesn't matter. It's all right next to each other. And you have to be like what Jesse was saying, like you have to bridge that gap and figure out that happy medium between everything. Because a little bit of too much of anything it can be detrimental. And
Well,
so you'll have that medium.
the mind has so much more control than I think we give it credit.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and Emma, also, don't sell yourself short. I know, even when you feel like you're lacking, the one of the things that I love about you, and I think this is a good trait for all of us to have, is when Emma's fallen short somewhere, she owns it. She doesn't deny it. She doesn't make excuses. She owns it. And I try to be that way myself. And so I appreciate that characteristic in her. I've seen it from you, Jesse, owning your own stuff as well. Matt, you've had a lot of change in your life in the last few years. Uh, how did the mental side of things for you, like as you were dealing with your wife and dealing with like even just your recent injury, like how do you deal with your mental struggles when you have those trials in your life?
Well, today we can actually talk about today. So I got a fun little story about today. So I was in the gym benching on Sundays. We do bench, and I, wear a bench shirt, and got injured back April 22nd at the meet I did there. Um, and today I actually hit a weight that I, was about 70 pounds more than the weight I got injured on,
Hmm.
and got to that struggle point and started to get in my head like, oh shit, it's gonna go again. Oh shit,
Yeah.
it's gonna go again. and it didn't go again. And I completed the rep. It was ugly as hell, but in powerlifting, looks doesn't matter. Nevertheless, I was sitting there like starting to doubt myself in the middle of the rep, right? And I hate to get there, and I hadn't gotten there until today. But it was also the most weight I've ever had in my hands. So, getting through for me, it was, I just got to get the reps done. I got to get past this. Once I get past this, like, look, it was a moment in time of something that happened with my wife's, lower back injury. That was a moment in time that something that happened. Now, what can we do going forward what does our life look like now? What can we do to make it so this doesn't happen again? Or if this does happen again, we've at least tried not to, screw things up on purpose. Even when it comes to like identity, for example, started a new job almost 2 years ago, and it was walking in there, and I knew a couple people. And there's a lot of people that I know that have started new jobs, and you see them like, oh, I've done all these great things, and you're sitting there and like, how much of that is legit and how much of that's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was almost like a put up or shut up time real early when I started at this job. And I had to tell myself, like, look, you can't. They took a chance on you. You weren't an internal candidate. You weren't an internal applicant where they can say, oh, well, he knows something about something else, so we can repurpose. No, this was a full chance on. So therefore, it's put up or shut up. And so, for me, it's I don't want to call it a fight or flight, but for me, I almost get there to start. And then once I realize, okay, you don't really need to go that hard. You don't need to go total full court press. Okay, you made your point. Now let's find the next level. Let's find second gear, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I know Jesse and we were talking about this a little bit just before you guys jumped on that, mentally when we go into something to make a change, um it affects our mind in a way how many people do you know that have been getting ready to start a diet and say, oh, I'm starting my diet tomorrow, so I'm gonna go crazy today? Or how many addicts that are getting ready to quit drinking go, I'm gonna quit drinking tomorrow, I'm gonna quit smoking tomorrow, or whatever, and they go hog wild that day. The mind is so powerful in our lives, and the better we can learn to control it and use tools to, I would almost say manipulate it. I could be off base
Yeah,
here.
I
Maybe
know
there's another word,
you
but
It's,
legitimately have to.
yeah,
yeah,
I wouldn't call it manipulation.
what would you call it? That's what I'm saying. There's something there's ways that we can kind of
Recondition.
recondition is a great word. Recondition our mind into different behavior patterns, right? And that's one of the things that I loved about Jesse from the very beginning of seeing his social media. Because when I first came across Jesse, he was always positive and encouraging people mentally, not so much physically. I mean, he'd talk about physical stuff, but it was more about the mental game, about getting out there and doing it, creating the behaviors. Right, Jesse?
Recreate. Yeah. Basically, this is something that I've done a lot of my own writing on, and I hope to be published one day with this, just to get the theory out there, is that each and every one of us that have behavior issues, okay, especially those that are negative, are disciplined. Okay. For example, if you take an addict or an alcoholic or a gym rat or a shopaholic or sex addict or whatever the case may be, right? Nothing is going to stand in my way of me achieving this. Okay. I don't care what obstacle it is. And unfortunately, in some cases, it's family, it's friends, it's responsibilities and obligations that are seen as obstacles, right? But nothing will stop me from the next drink or the next drug or the next casino or whatever have you, right? So that is a disciplined habit. All right. Especially with ones that do not conform to like physical damage. So, for example, if you're addicted to alcohol and you're addicted to drugs, it's more than just a mental thing. You have now just changed how your body responds. The neurotransmitters respond, and your dopamine production, and your serotonin, and your oxytocin, and your everything is now completely it's manipulated. And the reason it's manipulated is because, and you can even say that it's corrupted. A counterintuitive chemical has come in to replace the work that my body was designed to do naturally. My body will no longer condition itself to create these chemicals, okay, and these hormones. This is going to do it for me, and I'm going to think this way, and I'm going to feel this way, and my body is going to respond this way. That's what separates the physical addict from the mental addict, you know. And normally with gamblers, it's not even about the money, all right? It's about victory. It's about victory at the end, okay?
The thrill of the win.
But regardless, there's a discipline, pattern discipline that has been conditioned, right? So all of us have that seed of discipline. So when it comes to behavior change, I hope everyone can get this. You take that sphere, okay? It's cut in half, right? You have a negative axis and you have a positive axis, right? That's your discipline. It's seed of discipline. And you turn it upside down. And now I can take this that has been constantly full of manipulation, and I can turn this into persuasion for somebody else's benefit, not for my own. I could take hate and I could turn it into love. Okay. I can take lack or zero self-control whatsoever, and then begin to understand responsibility for my actions. Everything, it all runs parallel, every single one of it. Okay. And so it doesn't matter if you're going vertical, horizontal, doesn't matter how it's going to go. If you were to take it and you were to take it like pegs that were going straight through it, okay, it's no different than there's a light side of the moon and the dark side of the moon, okay? But it's all the moon, no matter how you look. And so if I'm able to manipulate people for my own benefit, for money, for enabling my habit, for whatever the case may be, then rather than manipulate, I can persuade others to the same degree, okay, with the same vigor, only without dishonesty. Now it's honesty. These are the actions that can work for you because they are opposite of the actions working against you that you disciplined yourself to understand. Okay.
Wait, one sec, Jess, because the word you're using is, I think, one of the most important words in our lifestyle in general, and that is discipline. So many people talk about I'm unmotivated, I don't have the motivation. I do not like I need motivation, because motivation wanes. It's a good starter. It maybe can get you going, but discipline is the key. And if the thing that I think that a lot of people do is they're always waiting for the motivation, but they never practice discipline. And discipline is a tool like anything else. If you do not practice it, you won't get better at it.
Correct. One of the other big things is, and because I get where you're coming from, and to a degree, I absolutely agree with you. You cannot, if you've never had the understanding and awareness of discipline, bad habits, good habits, it doesn't matter. And let's say you do want to make an attempt. Let's say it's not even a change, right? It's something new. Let's just say it's something added on to, I want to attempt this in life. If you have never been shown how to do it, and you have no idea, okay, it's no different than the nostalgia of the movies. Like, this would be great if I was a part of, right? But that's fictional motivation. It will require an example, a victorious example, to spark the choice to discipline yourself.
I agree with that.
Is required, whether it is within yourself, and for the ones that can do it for themselves, that is self-awareness on a whole new level, because guess what? You're going to have to dig really deep into that closet and face it, okay, and understand and be fully aware, not just of the choices that were made, but how it affected yourself, how it affected others, what this could do relationally in the long run. And the same thing applies when, hey, I'm going to try something new. A lot of the guys I work with, I'm like, write a pro and con list to every single thing that you are going to do after you ask yourself one question: is this going to make my life any better?
Yeah.
If you get motivated and hyped just by thinking that question, well, you're on the right track. Still make your pros and cons list, because I'll tell you, bodybuilding is awesome for me. It's great because it gives me something to look forward to all the time, and it gives me a habit to perform all the time. But if it stands in the way of my work, if it stands in the way of my children, If it stands in the way of my family, my studies, my recovery, working with others, then I've just become selfish and I've created another bad habit.
Yeah, no, everything has its place, right? I know that so for instance, um Emma and I both work in jobs that are very disciplined. And I mean discipline in that if you do not do the things that you need to do, you won't be successful. And you see it all the time, right? Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute myself for a second.
No.
100%. You can't, there's no way that you can be successful in this business without having discipline. Because I could not work, but I wouldn't make any money.
Yeah,
Fishing.
yeah. If you're not doing the activities, right? If you're not making the dials, if you're not sitting in front of people, if you're not doing the certain things that you need to do, you're not going to be successful. And the simple fact of the matter comes down, I think, a lot of times to passion, right? If you're not passionate about something, it's hard to get motivated for it. It's hard to develop discipline for it.
Well, and
I
it's
don't
like,
care if that's, what you're trying to accomplish or myself or Emma or Matt, right? I mean, Matt, what's your passion above all else?
Inspiring the uninspired.
Yeah, right. That's good.
that's your
Whether
motivation right there.
Yeah.
That's
right. And if you follow me on Instagram and such, I post every morning. I do it on multiple channels via social media, but I post a walking into work video
Yeah.
every day, Monday
I
through
see
Friday,
them.
and it's one little. Can be no longer than 60 seconds, because that's all the YouTube short will allow me. So my 60 seconds, so it's got to be less than 60 seconds, and it's one little nugget that'll maybe help you in that day. And you know what? There's so many times I've been reached out to, like, hey, that was really good. It really helped me get focused today. Or, I really, there was one I did the other day that was, make sure you're not finding excuses and pushing Friday tests to Monday.
right.
Hey, thanks for giving me that little boost. I decided to close these out where I normally would have waited. Right? It's just a little bit of think there. Like, I don't even know. The one person who messaged me, honestly, was a VP of HR for a different division within the company I work at, saying, "Hey, I saw this on LinkedIn. That was great. Keep them up." Like, I don't even know who you are, but I'm not going to quit, because the funny thing is also something that helps me stay inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And motivation.
Yeah,
Yourself.
and I like the word motivation. Like I don't dislike it, but I don't like it. It's a weird, I have a weird relationship with motivation. Another way that I like to think of it, and we say it in the office all the time, and I've talked about it on here before, rather than say like what motivates you, like what's your why? Why do you do what you do? And that
Yeah.
should that is your motivation. And that why is what instills that discipline in you to keep doing whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Right. Motivation, as far as the word itself, has been, it's kind of like the way I look at gaslighting. Gaslighting has one definition and one definition only. It's been there since the 1930s. Okay. But motivation, it has one definition only, and it can be used as, it can be used as a verb, it can be used as an adverb, it can be used, but guess what? It has one premise. But depending on the audience that you are talking to, motivation has 500 definitions, just like gaslighting. And I am like, but being that I am knowledged in the understanding of certain terminology, I don't break from it. I don't conform to society simply because society says that this is acceptable to use this term here. And I'm like, well, that is where we got into this whole manifestation of separation, segregation, misrepresentation of gender identification.
Yeah.
You can think of that I can actually say, hey, here's my DSM-5, and I will tell you exactly how all this falls into a mental health disorder. Whether you're offended,
Yes.
it's not my fault. I read it here. It's been cited. Hundreds of doctors much smarter than all of us have agreed. That's you, because in some of that, that's me. It was my study. It was my studies that showed me, hey, guess what, Jesse? Not only are you a recovering addict and alcoholic, you're a recovering narcissist. You're an egotistical bastard. And
I like to look at motivation as a match. Motivation is the match that lights the fire of discipline. So it's an important step, but without the other step, if you don't like the fire of discipline, you're going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah,
You're going to miss your goal.
yeah.
There's got to be a way to fuel that fire, and that is discipline. Discipline is the fuel for the fire. Motivation starts it, and discipline makes it burn.
I'll tell you one example. Actually, it's an example that's been going on for 87 years in recovery. When there's a prominent speaker who's telling you the truth about their life, the good, bad, and the ugly, and you're able to do some soul searching in that moment and identify with them and understand it's possible for you too, that seed of motivation has helped hundreds of thousands of people across the world, possibly into the millions, but I don't have confirmed numbers on that. Definitely hundreds of thousands of people for 87 years maintained long-term sobriety until the day they died because they heard exactly what they needed to hear, but then they sought help. They followed an example. They implemented the suggestions from these examples. Some work, some don't work because we're all different personalities, but they didn't stop. The same thing can be had in your health, your overall your physical fitness, your grades, your work performance, your parenting, your ability in all relationships. And I'm not talking about just marital. And it's to me, it's phenomenal. It's a spiritual phenomenon for me. Okay. That there's people I haven't seen in 15 years that when they do come talk to me, they recognize the flesh, but they don't know the person. Okay. And I don't owe anybody an explanation. I owe a living amends to the world. I manipulated all the resources that we have here. I denied my Savior. I denied my family. I will no longer do these things. I will no longer do these things to the best of my ability because we all have bad 5 minutes. But I'm going to recondition this discipline for my own benefit first. Okay. Put the life jacket on first. Can't save anybody without a life jacket.
They say put the oxygen
Put the
mask
mask.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, then the child, because if you're dead, you can't help them, right? I love
Exactly.
that you use help, ask for help, because there's people in my life that I have seen that inspire me, and in a way, it's helpful to me. They give me nuggets of truth that I can follow. Jesse, you're one of those people. Matt, you're one of those people. When I first came across you, um, you guys were both very inspiring to me at that time in my life, and you still are with the continued journeys that you have. Emma, very similar, and that's why I feel very comfortable with you guys. I'm very appreciative of all three of you. Just from the little, I'm a person that believes that it doesn't matter. There's some people that's like, "Hey, I'm older than you. You can't teach me nothing." No, I'm the oldest one in this room right now, and I have learned probably a lot more from the three of you than you have ever taught me. So I continue to learn and try to glean the good from all people. And when I see people doing good things, my calling in this earth is to serve. It's why I coach. I've coached since I think I was 20 years old when I first started coaching football. Um, I have coached my entire life. I do it in a way to serve people. When somebody needs something, I try to help them. It doesn't matter. It's just that's who I am. I
I
like
love
to teach and help. I love people. And so when I see people that have those personalities and are out there really trying to help people, you see people on social media put people down and talk about how good they are. I've never seen that from any of you. The only thing I've seen is you guys trying to lift people up and inspire and encourage. And those are the things that help people go, oh man, that's awesome. And then they get a little motivation, it strikes the match, they get some discipline, they make some changes in their life. And it's amazing how physical changes lead to workplace changes and other changes, right? Matt, what do you think?
I agree. I think that, when you start to see success in one facet of what you're doing. So like for example, if I'm seeing success in my overall body composition change, now I have more confidence. Now I can go and speak to people that I'm like, oh, I'm feeling good about myself. Now I'm not going to have that little, oh, gosh, insecure insecure moment because I'm feeling good in more facets of life. So I think that that carryover is incredible. But I also think that, when it it pays, or it rewards a lot to see that in others. If you see someone else working hard and you see, not puffing them up. I don't want to blow smoke up anybody's ass, but at the same time, showing them that somebody's watching can definitely help. Oh man, I've been putting in the work and nobody's noticing. You start to notice other people doing it, then they start leveling up because they're feeling better about things.
Yeah.
So
I'm inspired by people changing their lives, man.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
it tugs at my heartstrings when I see people on social media that have done these like just great transformations and work so hard. I recognize the work. It is inspiring to me.
I mean, or even the people that even haven't gotten that transformation just yet, and they're in the process of
Yeah.
Yes.
those are the people that I typically cling to more, because that's the hardest part right there, is starting and staying consistent with it. And I feel like it's really discouraging for a lot of people, like what Matt was saying, like they're not, I'm working so hard, I'm not necessarily seeing the results that I'm expecting to see, or they just really don't see it because they look at themselves every single day.
Yeah.
Versus the people on social media, they're like, oh damn, okay, you're putting in the work, I can see it. And that's why I really enjoy like hyping people up, and kind of like piggybacking off of what Matt was saying. We say it in the office too. The people that tend to look the happiest, or they always are a big ball of energy, you always want to go up and ask them how they're doing. And Jesse said that before too. You always want to check on people, because you never know what demons or what troubles they're going through. Because not everyone is quick to tell people exactly what's going on in their life. A lot of people hide it. And so it's important, because it shows people that you care. Because a lot of people don't care, and they're too caught up in their own lives that however your life is going, it doesn't affect them. So why should they take time out of their day to make sure that you're doing okay?
Well, and Matt said it perfect, and I don't, because we've all been following each other for a while. I've never seen you puff somebody up. Okay, so here's the truth. Okay, if you want to give somebody, like the desire to give somebody a genuine, kind compliment, please do so. There is no harm can be had in it. No harm could be. I mean, and for no reason whatsoever, other than, and this could sound selfish, but guess what? It works. If I'm in my head and I'm veering this way for just a minute, okay, just a minute, especially when it happens in the gym, okay. I can look at somebody, like there was a guy there that was there today. Normally today's my off day. I went ahead and did some cardio. I got off the stairs, and there's this cat with the best form of curl I've ever seen him do. Okay. Not from anybody else, but him. And so I let him know. I was like, bro, you rock the form. That's perfect. Why? Because I can. But do you know what that did? So now my mind has gone from, long day today, didn't get much sleep last night, to, man, look at this kid. Boom. And it will immediately take, and it's genuine. It's absolutely genuine. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing that it cost me was the enslavement to my own mental state. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because good or bad, I don't believe that we're our own worst enemies. And people can argue that all day long. That's great. And if you have your beliefs on that, that's fine. My enemy was scorned to hell, millennia ago. So I'm not my own worst enemy, but I am my own worst critic. Yeah. I'm my own worst critic. I don't take compliments very well. Because of narcissism and egotism. I don't want to puff myself up to think it's something more than what was said. That's another
Jesse, real fast, we're also in kind of a lifestyle that lives on body dysmorphia. Just saying.
Yeah, short king. I'm a short king for life, for small. But that's the thing, is that right there to me it's untouchable. Because it can never stop. You can never stop growing. And I'm not talking about in the physical aspect. Yes. Training methods can continuously keep evolving, right? All the while, my mental state is getting better. My self-appreciation, don't feel bad if you appreciate yourself and love yourself. If you can't love yourself, it's hard to love anybody else. Mm-hmm. But when we're talking about these mental aspects of change, it can occur anywhere, anywhere.
Yes.
You guys are talking about finances, right? If you guys don't do your job and you don't do your part and you don't discipline yourself to doing exactly what you do, it has a financial consequence. Okay. Maybe yours, it may be somebody else's. So in my area, because I don't deal in finances, I have found the best way for me to manage my finances is not so much focusing on what I'm saving, which is not a bad thing. It is focusing on what I'm spending, conditioning this discipline, because this is one. Okay. I take one monies, okay, and I put it in one place, one time. Or I can spend all day in any financial situation making the right choice in how I spend. And I discipline myself to a better way of spending.
We need to have a conversation about money because I could use some guidance.
But it's one of
You
those
do
deals.
know that I was a financial planner, right?
I don't
Yeah.
want to plan. I want to plan how I spend, not where I
I
put
know
it.
how to. No, I actually, it's funny that you say that because I never used budgets with my clients. We always put together spending plans so that they could choose how and where to spend their money, whether they spend it into a savings account, spend it into an investment, or spend it on a car.
Right.
They get to choose, and it's
I've got
psychological.
a great spending system. I get the money and I spend it.
Spend it, yeah.
Well,
I
okay.
can tell you though, when we're talking about things, I'm gonna get a little bit personal with you, Emma, because I've seen you just working with you and doing different things over the last year and a half, just since we first started talking and all that stuff. Emma used to be um, very confident on the outside, but very self-confident on the inside, very kind of insecure about things. And she is not so much anymore. I think we all still carry that. But I've seen her grow, which has been kind of cool to watch because I love watching people like overcome their weaknesses and just get better at it, right? And it's been kind of fun to have kind of that back seat and just watch those things happen. It's been fun to see her go from feeling not worthy to feeling worthy. So, and I love seeing that in all kinds. Like I watched my wife do that when I first met her. My wife was very insecure, very shy, hard to talk to people. And but now my wife will be the first person to tell you right to your face, you need a whatever, right? Watch out. Don't unleash her for any reason.
That's funny.
Kraken has come forth.
Here's what I can tell you from the balance, just from the conversation that I've been listening to the three of you. Okay, is that you're finding your own combination. Okay, and to be honest, and anybody who's spent any length of time really developing and growing understands that what may have worked on one particular Monday may not work that next particular Monday. Okay. So, and is there anything wrong with trying it again? Well, no, it's not, but because for a healthier, no lack of a healthier term, if we don't live life on life's terms, which means that we can't control everything that's around us, okay, then we're not really going to be able to accept what we're able to do, not only for ourselves, but throughout the day. It's going to be a constant battle and a struggle of it should have been this way and it should have been this way. And oh, if I had just and woulda, coulda, shoulda, and so like I use the term justified with every guy that I work with. I'm like, yeah, you're stuck in the justified. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not justifying anything. I said, no. You're stuck in the justified. Justified done this. Justified been there. Justified
Yeah.
got away with this. You get stuck in the justified.
Love
And
that.
it's a horrible place to be. And I laugh at it because that was me.
But we're also the best at rationalizing and justifying our behavior no matter what, right?
My
Like,
God. That's like
the
going like
best.
that's literally what we were talking earlier, like saying that your brain, what did you say it was? Like reconditioning your brain. Because man, I have tried a million times to change so many different things. Like hold on. Hey, get down. Stupid cat. Sorry. She's attacking the TV. Hold on. But
Yes.
I've tried a million different times to do a million different things, like start saving money. That's a hard one. And no matter what, I will always justify spending the money. It does not matter. I will always justify if I have $4,000 in my bank account, if I have $1,000, if I have $100. It does not matter. I will justify spending the money in some form or fashion. And same thing with like vaping. I will quit, and my brain will convince me, as hard as I try, my brain will convince me it's like, it's not that bad. You can do it in moderation. Yada, 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 X, Y, Z.
Just your mental capacity. There is a huge difference between the way you think and the physical apparatus of the mind. Okay, they are two totally different. And so, like, it's one of those, you want the instant gratification, and mentally you think that's all it is, the instant gratification. Secondary is it's an addiction. It's a physical addiction. You have just, the nicotine receptors in your mind are no longer being able to receive that transmission, and they're wondering, hey, where you at? Hey. And so then you're telling yourself, okay, because that's what we do. We try to outsmart what's going on the inside. And, we can justify it. Yeah, and your brain's like, well, no shit, because I need it right now. And that could be with anything. I used to be the same way with spending. And so, at the previous company, anytime a drop would happen, I would make sure I've got X amount that's going to be spent on this rather than a credit card. And I would buy it all and I would splurge. And all it was just momentary happiness. Momentary. Okay. And I'll tell you, happiness doesn't exist. There's no such.
I've been a firm believer when it comes to money, if you don't want to spend it, you got to get it somewhere. You got to spend it somewhere that you can't get at it easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what James is like. You need to get this account that it takes 3 to 4 business days.
3 to 4 business days to get it, because when you think about it, right? So there's a lot of high interest savings accounts out there that you can set up away from your bank, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is it takes 3 or 4 days for the money, 3 or 4 business days for the money to be received into the account. And if you want it, it's going to take you 3 or 4 days to get it. So you're not going to tap into that unless you really need it, because you're like, well, 3 or 4 days, I mean, that ain't going to do me any good right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's that buyer's remorse. It's like, I won't have to worry about this, if anything.
See, like, that's my problem. It's like and I've gotten better at it. Back when I really had no money and I wasn't working, we were just living off of it was a single income household. I did have buyer's remorse, but really only because it was on credit cards, and then the credit card payment was due, and then we were living paycheck to paycheck, yada, yada. Now it's harder for me to have buyer's remorse because I'm like, oh, I just dropped $1,000. It's fine. I make another 4 on Thursday.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to have buyer's remorse because I know that I can quickly come back to it just with a little bit of discipline and hard work on the job.
The tax man shows up.
Oh, that too.
He gets
yeah, you guys got something to say on that, because your eyes, dude, just you're like, what?
Here's my benefit, and you guys may relate to this. Okay, not Emma just yet, but it's whenever you have that big overtime check. Okay, and I do look at it, and I'm sitting there thinking, what can be removed from my life financially? Okay, with this check. And so that's the first thing I focus on, is where the necessities, where does this need to go? So it's a condition of the mind. The necessities come first, right? And I will have leftover, but I really don't ponder on what I'm going to spend it on. Like I said, hey, I got to make sure I have groceries, gas, this and that. And then the kid's mom will text me, and we'll have a great conversation. And then at the end, I'm like, so is everything cool? Do Mia need anything, Logan? And then she'll be like, well, actually, and I'm like, well, it's a good thing that I don't need this money for myself, because dance gets expensive, car insurance gets expensive, kids' gas money gets expensive, school clothes get expensive. There's a possibility that Mia is going to be getting nominated for the top 5 of homecoming at her senior year. And so I'm talking to Mom too, and I'm like, okay, so how much do we need for the dress? For the, she's like,
the shoes, the nails, the hair, the
and I've always been a saver. That's how I was able to make it for 15 months without a paycheck. Dude, and never have to want, because
And
I
I'm
have always been a saver,
I
right?
think I'm that my kids' names to savings because that's where my money.
Well, hey,
They would just
not only did I make it 15 months without having to ask anybody for anything or nothing, but I also started a company with it. So I have been a saver forever. My wife's the spender.
So funny thing about spending in the freaking Deacon's household is there's a rare occasion. There's really only two times I'll spend more than $50 without asking. As ridiculous as that sounds, groceries and gas. Only thing
Yeah.
I'll spend more than $50 without, like, do I really need this? What are your thoughts about this? Even if it's something that is a normal thing, it's like
Do we really
protein
need
powder.
this?
I'm ordering up some protein powder. Hey, it's going to cost me $100 for a couple tubs. Are you really asking me? It's just the habit I'm
yeah.
getting. So do I need it? Is it an absolute necessity? Absolutely not. Is it something I want? Yeah. Do I need it? I mean, if I was living when I got laid off, I mean, that was like okay, what can I cut out? And
Yeah,
open your eyes real quick.
it will. It absolutely will. You know, I went from an outstanding oil field job in 2019, and I don't say that I lost it. I didn't lose it. I gave it away because alcohol was more important. Okay. And so I was respectfully asked to resign from that position. And so we go from an income of easy six figures a year down to I'm driving a rock truck for 13.25 an hour. And I'm so blessed that I didn't have a car payment at the time. My insurance was low because of no tickets, but it was incredible because I just started getting. I was 6 months sober when I got that job, and so I'm learning a lot about myself or who I want to be versus who I don't want to be anymore. Okay, and it's recreating an entire character with respect to the personality that's with you forever. And so, same thing with Matt. It's like, what do I not need? And then I realized, actually, I never did need these things. I never did. And so I was doing better off mentally and financially at that 13.25 an hour than I was with six figures. And we had everything that we needed. And then when I got back into the oil field and I was blessed with another prosperous job, I live in Odessa, the kids and mom, live in Hobbs, but they lack for nothing. And I don't live, and spend frivolously. I live very simple. But when my kids come over here, we have family time, the house is full, right? And so my mind went from I need this and I need this, and this is what's going to make this look perfect, and this and this and this, to just having a basic Wayfare table where I'm having brunch with two kids that's priceless. Priceless. And we're not going to spend. Have you been to the Red Oak Door, or is that what it's called? Red Oak Kitchen, Emma, over in Odessa?
Off of,
It's off 191.
I think so.
It's a really nice place. I took their mom, but you could go do brunch and everything over there, and it's going to have the atmosphere and the vibe for $125. But instead, I get to sit down while my kids are barely even waking up, and I get to chop up red potatoes, dry them, get them nice and seasoned, get to pan fry them, and get to watch their face as they eat right in front of me at this table for the cost of $5, right? And it's not about being frugal or anything like that. It's about I want to appreciate and value every single piece of this moment because they're so rare. I've got one in college. I've got one in a senior in high school. Both are going to be in Florida going to university within the next 18 months, when my son transfers over there.
Wait, where are they going again?
Orlando, what is that, Central Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
6 hours for me.
Yeah, Central Florida, yeah.
So that's where both of them have decided to go. And my son, diehard, absolutely going there. So that's a long ways away from me and mama.
Are they going to UCF?
University of Central Florida.
Of Central Florida? Yeah. Great football team.
Yeah, and
college ball's here next week, people. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Well,
I love college football.
By the time that I finish out with what I'm doing in school right now, I've been talking to them. I'm like, I haven't ever been to Florida, and I'll have a degree, and I'll be able to do what I want to do. But then I can also pursue my PhD. And that would just be great. Face tattooed, body completely covered in tattoos, former addict with a PhD.
Dr. Jesse.
Right? Be like, what are your
Love
qualifications? I'd be like, I can measure
life.
metric. I'd be like,
Life is my qualification,
that's right.
which I think makes the best, right? I
It
mean,
does.
the personal experience that we develop along the way and the wisdom that we gather as we deal with these experiences and grow from them and learn from them and fail. That is the wisdom and growth I think that really benefits others.
Yes. But wisdom is useless unless you are applying it to allow somebody else to have a benefit from it. It's kind of like having, and this is just philosophy of mine. Okay. So when it comes down to wisdom and knowledge, it's pointless and it's useless, like a china cabinet. Okay.
Well,
It
you
is
can't
doing,
keep it to yourself.
it does nothing to serve someone else. You stay away from the fine china, right? Grab the paper plate. Well, guess what? The paper plate has just become more use to the people that are going to be utilizing it than that fine. Same thing with wisdom and knowledge. If you've got it, share it.
Yep.
You've got it, share it, because then
Yes.
it becomes useless. It becomes a stock that nobody can touch. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, dude. I know you guys all are very good at that. Matt, I know you do. One of the things that amazing about you, Matt, is it doesn't matter what you're going through, what you're dealing with, what you got on your plate, man. You are out there trying to help others and lift people up. I love it.
Yeah, one of the biggest things. I heard a quote. I honestly I couldn't tell you. No, it's Law and Order SVU. Ice-T, one of his quotes from back in the day of the good Law and Orders. Not that they're not good now, but they're better back in the day. And he said, "I've scratched your back, and now I got a major itch," and that has always resounded in me. Where it's like, you know what? I want to scratch everyone else's back 4,000 times because when I have an itch, I hope somebody that I've scratched will help me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's always been my philosophy. And it's one of those things where I get much more, as much as I enjoy growth within myself in the gym or, mentally or even at work, getting a promotion or a big kudos. I also enjoy seeing the people that I know I've helped or who have come to me asking for help to see them get that. That
Yes.
means more to me than me getting it myself.
I'm with you,
I
dude.
that completely. I mean, like I resonate with that so much because I have a whole team of agents underneath me. And for me, like my paychecks are awesome. I love my paychecks, obviously. But when I see my agents start developing and make the paychecks that I was making at the time when I was an agent and getting, those $1,000 to $2,000 checks every single week, that makes me so much more happier than any number on my check because I know the potential in this business and seeing them succeed. And then same thing, I have this one friend, she had a baby. I think her baby's probably a year old now. She started, asking me how to lose weight, how to get back into shape. She wants to look good again, all this stuff. And so I just kind of gave her little pointers because she's a stay-at-home mom. She didn't have a lot of equipment or a lot of time, especially being a stay-at-home mom. And I mean, seeing her, she's down like 30 or 40 pounds and it's been about 6 months and she's like starting to develop and she's starting to
You
get
to be charging that girl.
yeah, and she's starting to get into a little bit of strength training. And so it's just really cool. I mean, obviously we care about our own success, we care about our own endeavors, but seeing the people that have asked you for help or people that you've kind of been watching and just get to see them start growing as an individual and achieving the goals that they had set for themselves. I don't know. There's nothing better in my opinion.
That right there is the answer. Setting for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see in society and you'll see it all over social media where somebody will follow an influencer for the sake of following and I put it in quotations because I think it's about the most ridiculous market on the planet. But they will follow an influencer and they'll do everything that the influencer does, right? And this literally reminds me of the sheep that are about to fall off of the cliff simply because the leader went off first.
Yes.
And so rather than setting a goal for themselves, when they see somebody else fall off, they validate their reason to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I made it this far. I don't have to do this anymore. If you had sustained a goal for yourself, it doesn't matter who it is that was leading the way. You are going to follow to the beat of your own drummer. You've established a habit here that you understand is beneficial for you, regardless of what other people see or the opinions of other people or what they may think, or how they may feel. And like you said earlier, that you thought it was egotistical. It's not. Self appreciation and finding value in yourself is not egotistical. It's when you expect others to do the same, okay, that expectation, then it becomes egotistical, okay? But if you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it with others or by yourself because of your own goal that you set in place, there's nothing wrong with that. That's success in itself. You can't put dollar amounts on that. I mean, and success is going to be in so many different areas. I don't look at life long term. I don't, and I don't set long term goals. I learned that in recovery. All I have is what I can do today. What I do today is going to be the platform for whatever it is I choose to do tomorrow, right? And I can fall off of that step just as easily. But if I'm telling myself, if I get this and this and this and this and this and this, I'll be happy. Well, then I've just defined happy. So what happens when I don't get there? Happiness doesn't exist. Contentment, excitement, appreciation, value, virtue, these things exist and they are daily experiences.
There's no more important time than today.
You have. That is all you have.
Got to live in today.
Right.
You can plan some things. You want to, or not even necessarily plan, but prepare. But you have to live in the here and now with your family, because I see this often. People are like, I'll spend time with my grandchildren next week because I have to do this today, or I have these plans. I have this. I'll spend time with my children, this. And then 15 years go by and they're like, where the hell was dad?
Right. And that was me. No guilt, shame, or condemnation in saying that. I put work, I put the bottle, and I put my addiction above the needs that my family had in place, right? And so that's amends I get to make every day. So here's a perfect example. There have been many times that I've been called out with only 3 to 4 hours of sleep, not wanting to go to work, but I go anyways, right? So guess what? If I've done it for something I don't want to do, well, then damn sure I could accomplish that for something I do want to do.
Yeah.
Friday was my dad's birthday. Oh man, I was looking forward to that birthday all week, right? But I can only get through each day. So Friday, when I got off work, I left from Texas. I went to New Mexico. I got to go spend the afternoon with my dad and my mom and the kids. We had a great afternoon. Stayed the night over there. All I had to do was cut sleep by an hour and a half. Still gave me more sleep than I got on a call out, right? But I was able to put that time and effort into something I wanted to do rather than make the excuse that I used to. Oh, daddy didn't get enough sleep. Daddy, and that's the change. That's the change, is that I can look at the flip side of everything if I choose to. The negative side. I don't want to go on a call out. I don't want to work the 12 hours and then get called back out and then have to go work 12 hours. Okay. You know what I do want to do? I want to work 12 hours. I want to get in the car. I want to enjoy my drive back home. I want to go eat a good meal because I get one treat meal a week. I want to go eat mama's cooking. I want to spend time with the family. It's the desire. It's the desire is what it comes down to. And it's not a desire of the flesh. It's a desire of companionship and being and keeping to your word without having to feel pressure. Okay. That's the biggest change in my life, is understanding that I no longer have to identify with the things that I said about myself, or what people said about me. I can only identify with what I agreed to do today. And I'm not going to get it done perfect every single time. Rarely do I let a bad 5 minutes turn into a bad 24 hours. Very rarely does that. And any one of us can do that.
Yeah. No, you need to recover from that quickly. And hey, guys, I know it's getting late. I know it's even later for Matt because he's on East Coast time. But hey, let's do this. I wanna circle around. We'll get back to Jesse. Matt, any final thoughts for you, buddy?
Yeah, I
What do
mean,
you want to leave us with?
the one thing I would leave whoever listens to this with is, there's more than just us here willing to listen if help's needed. By all means, everyone has somebody they look up to, or somebody they can, in their quote unquote inner circle, that they can confide in, believe in. And at the end of the day, if they aren't willing to listen, or at least listen, then they probably shouldn't be there. But nevertheless, everybody has their goals, has their dreams, and just make sure you ask for help. because nobody
Yeah.
gets their goal by themselves without asking for help. So, you know, I know James, you'll post in the description wherever how to find us. You know, if anybody needs any help, by all means, I'm all ears.
Yeah, you need an ear. You call me for sure. I won't speak for anybody else, but you could definitely reach out to me. And I know Matt said yeah for him as well. So, and he'll listen. Emma, what about you, girl? What do you want to leave us with?
Just kind of circling back around, just don't wait for motivation, just find your why. Whatever your why is, stick with that and run with it. And it's going to change over time as you acquire and reach different goals that you have set for yourself. But at the end of the day, that should always be your base point, because that's what's going to help keep you going and instill that discipline.
I love the why. The why is, I mean, that's why we do anything, right? Why do you do this? Well, because I love my wife, because I love my children. Why? What's my why? My why is my family, my grandkids, the people that I can help, right? I mean, the why is an important tool. Jesse, drop us with some knowledge, man, and then we're going to get out of here, brother.
Just stay blessed unless you have better plans.
Come
It'll
on,
really
man.
recondition how you think you want the day to end.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You started I actually like that you ended yourself that way tonight, because you always started with that, what's up, fam? And you always ended that way. Stay blessed unless you have better plans. And what better plans can you have than being blessed?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, so it was I always appreciated the statement. I know some people maybe didn't understand it or didn't get it, but I got it instantly. I mean, what other plans should you have than being blessed? Whether it be with your family, your loved ones, friends, just everything. Stay blessed unless you have better plans. Love it. Well, hey,
Well,
I just want to say thank you to all you guys. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your knowledge and all the lessons that all three of you have taught me over the years. Just learning from you. I mean, I look at life as a community. I look at it as we all have certain talents and abilities. And it's I'm a religious person. I believe that the Lord has blessed us with these talents and abilities, and He expects us to share them with others, because where we are strong, they may be weak, and together we can build a community and be strong. And so that is what I want to leave everybody with, is that take your talents out there and share them with the world so that you can help those that are around you. And with that, everybody, get out there and work hard, peoples, and remember, don't forget to smile. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at Work Hard Peoples LLC, or Instagram at Work Hard Peoples LLC. You can also find us on our website at workhardpeoples.com. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to smile.